All right, we're back. Table one is Chris Daniels from Kansas City and Greg Cole from Azusa, I think. At least LA. He's a local. They're both currently 1-0. That's Kansas City Nomad. Kinda cringe, but we'll see. I don't know who actually won the die roll. That's crazy. Missing you at this event, Chris. See you next year, surely. Looks like Greg won the die roll. He's going first. That's a Ramu. Oh, is Greg going back to science? Yep. It's me, Ryan Chen from Seattle, commentating. Okay. So we can see that Chris is playing Magisa deck. This is an aggro deck. It's centered around 4 CP Magisa, which basically says if it takes I think 5k or less, some amount of damage or less, you can use its action ability to play a fire forward of +3 from your deck to the field. So you're gonna see Chris's deck have a lot of value 3 drops, like Gutsco, which gets a card every time it swings. I think it's 4k. You could be great, Zaima. Sorry, I don't have the card on my phone. Wow, it really looks like Greg is playing old school Scion. Greg used to play a lot of Scions during the last competitive season. I think that's the deck he made it to qualify for nationals with during, I don't know, 2018, 2019, whenever pre-COVID was PC. Obviously, there's some new upgrades that you can put in the deck, like this Legend Y'shtola, which is very good. It does power reduction based on number of Cat 14 forwards. Oh, wow. Greg is also playing ReRaise with the Scions. I've never actually seen this before. No, they're not playing on the floor. The table just has this, like, I don't really know how to describe it, but this carpet-esque pattern on it. But it is not the floor. So Greg has a really fast, really good backup curve. Let's see if Chris can, I don't know, like tempo his way in. So from what I've heard about this matchup from Magisa players testing against ReRaise is like they still have a chance even if they hit bursts, but obviously bursts are very detrimental to the deck. Okay, so of course we hit the damage 1 EX. Amber. So this probably gets Shinju here. Yep. So we can unlock playing all of our other story members. Let's see what Chris does here. I think Chris really wants to play Magisa on the board. But also since he knows Greg has a Y'shtola, that's kind of risky because Y'shtola can kind of just kill it right away. So the Magisa deck mostly has summons. It plays cards to enable Magisa. So that's why you're going to see 2 CP Brad, which will ping the Magisa for free. Not for free, but like discard a summon and get to use Magisa's ability. So that's why the deck has a lot of summons. It also has a decent amount of EX burst because you're playing all these fire summons. Like you can see Brynhildr, Bahamut 4. Do we play Magisa here and put more of a clock on Greg, or do we hold back because we know that Greg has the Y'shtola? Looks like we're passing. And I gotta like go on FFTCG, man. I don't remember what most of these Scion cards do, but can Yida kill Gutsco? I don't actually know. It's a 2K per Scion or something like that. I'm also unclear whether Greg has Alphanaut or Alice. This matters because I think Alice gives Scion forwards. Okay, so is it Alphanaut or is it Alice? I guess that's Alphanaut. Thanks, John. See, Greg also has a Tyro in him. Okay, so we're playing the discounted Alice. I think Alphanaut discounts Alice by 1. So Greg is actually pretty happy to take this game slower. He's just gonna have the better top end. There gets to be a point where everything Greg plays is like insane value, like Edel bringing back a card, or Vespia drawing 2, or Gishtola killing person for free. It's interesting to note that Greg is not playing, or what seems like he's not playing, the new Lightning Alisei that came out in the current set, which has damage 3 text and is a source of recursion. It looked like Greg had passed. So you can see that Chris is actually playing a new card that came from the starter deck. It's tucked under Gutsko, but it's 6 CPI Idolus. And this card is like pretty cheeky. It's like basically a monster reborn. It lets you play a forward of cost 4 or less from your break zone, which obviously enables Magisa turn 1. And you can break Iodolus to ping something for 7k, which gives you Magisa trigger. So you can see Chris here is doing the Magisa thing. So he has Sprint Holder, deal 5k to Magisa. Magisa brings out a forward. So it's hard to determine what the best forward is here, knowing that Greg has the Yashola. So he's grabbing Braska. So this signal, oh, can you do that? I think it's only cost forward 3 or exactly 3. Okay, Rainy, let me check. Yeah, it's only cost 3. He can't get the Magisa. Can you call the judge on that? All right, he can't get the Braska. Okay, so we're gonna have a judge call. But yeah, Magisa finds 3 drops, so we can't actually find. Okay, we caught it. Yep. I have a personal assistant who I can send to I have a instead of a button, I have a person I can send. Thank you, Rainy. They caught it. Sick. So now they're rewinding, I think. I don't know what the right call is, but no action has been taken. I imagine Chris gets a warning and then has to choose something else. I say the normal line here to choose is that's a cool tech card. What Yuzuki does, I think she says fire forwards don't take ability damage. So Yuzuki reads says fire if a fire forward you control is dealt damage by your opponent's ability, the damage becomes 0 instead. It has some other text that says if a water forward you control is dealt damage, reduce the damage by 2k instead. So what's interesting is that even though Chris tried to make an illegal play, which I'm assuming is an accident, I don't want to assume anything, but okay. But when he got Braska, it kind of signaled that he had a summon in his hand because like why else would you get Braska? Probably so he can Braska action ability 7k Magisa and play another forward. So let's see if that hypothesis is correct and what Greg will do about it. Other players or other plays you can do with the Magisa is you can bring out the Fire Alphanaut, which lets you search for a character. And then you usually search for like a Palom or is it Forum, the Fire 2 CP backup that pings 4k on BTB, which gives you a Magisa trigger again on your next. So okay, so Greg is gonna kill Yuzuki because he plays 2 Scion forwards, so that's minus 8k. Now he can probably attack. Um, I don't have Yita's exact text, but I believe it's probably a mandatory choose on opponent's dull forward. And Chris would get back 4 cards tucked under there. So that's actually a consideration for Greg. It's like, do you want to kill this Gutsdale and let your opponent get 4 cards back in hand? Generally, you want to be able to answer all the cards by that Gutsdale gets back. So you want to have a commanding board state, or at least be in a position to answer everything that Gutsdale gets back. So there is an argument for Greg to not attack here. We see some gesturing on the table. I don't really know what's going on. I think he just said pass. So yeah, he didn't want to give Chris like 5 cards back. Okay, so Yida is Yashola, LSA, Alphana, self. I think she's at 8K right now. For each. Okay, so Yida is currently an 8K. Bahamut. Bahamut forward. So this has synergy with the rest of the deck. There's a lot of Bahamuts, a lot of fire summons, so this becomes a 9K. And it has 2 relevant specials. It's interesting that Chris also got rid of his Amaterasu. So I don't think he has a play. So let's see what Greg does here. Oh, thanks for the compliment, Chris, but I'm sure you're already one of the best in the business, right? Let's see. So Greg has a Ramu in hand. This shrinks by 7K. He can, on the stack, pass that on Magisa. So Magisa never gets a chance to bring out a forward. We'll see if Greg folds that summon or what his other plan is. I think I see a Yashtola special in his hand, so you can Yashtola. Okay, so it looks like we are indeed using the Yashtola special. I believe this does 9,000 damage to all non-Scion forwards. Okay. Yep. So we cleared the board. Chris got back a bunch of cards. Ida's coming in for damage. Ifrit, a burst. And then Greg is passing. So I think this is a sign of a pretty smart player. Like Greg here knows that he doesn't need to overcommit to the board. He kind of just needs to hold answers because eventually the Magisa deck runs out of gas. So you can see Greg here holds up the Ramu. He doesn't overextend here. He has enough resources to rebuild. And from here on out, it's quite difficult for Chris to come back because, Earth obviously has a lot of recursion. Greg has the opportunity to bring back Yasholas, to bring back his other scions. We haven't even seen Greg really play any of the story members. Now, there could be a chance that Greg is only playing the story Amber that we saw as a backup to search a backup, and maybe he's not playing the story forwards, which is, a possibility. But if he still has all the story forwards in his deck, that's like, those are all very value forwards that, Chris is on 1 backup. He can't really compete with the 5 backup in addition to someone playing, all these value forwards. So in response, Greg broke Yashtola, healed the spell. Attack here, damage, attack here, damage, Gisa. It's actually looking pretty rough for Chris here. Magisa really kind of wants to bully its opponent in the first few turns, and then when you are the mid-range or control player, and you get to this stage of the game, you feel pretty happy. Very kind of hard to lose, to be honest. There's always opportunities um, to come back, especially if your opponent misplays. But it's looking very rough for Chris. Yes, sir, and that's an RNA. It's RNA, a new starter card. 6 CP, EX Burst, kill a 3-drop, and then damage 5, can also kill a 5-drop. Okay, so we burn 8 to kill, and RFG a forward. Oh, that's our last Magisa. So I think Greg is probably, as Chris said, just going to walk it across the goal line now. This is kind of free. Bomb is an interesting tech for this deck too, because what you want to do is you want to ping Magisa, which Bomb does. So Bomb says choose a forward, deal at 5k. But it also turns into a forward that can attack. And since it's a monster, it's very hard for opponents to interact, even if they board wipe you. If you have 2 or 3 bombs on the board, you still threaten 2 or 3 free points of damage. So that's actually a very cool tech that I don't believe we saw Hunter Nance or William Lowe play in the Esper Cup, that tournament that was held last month in Raleigh. And Greg takes it. Very clean play by Greg. We'll ask Greg if he wants to come up right here. True, that's what we call a playmat diff. That's also another interesting thing about this current meta. There's actually a lot of decks that are like pretty playable and they're pretty viable. Obviously everyone's talking about Avalanche or Mono Wind or Twins, but there's a lot of decks that can see play and I think can top 8 or top 16. Obviously, I don't think Scions are something that most people expected to see. Oh, let me turn on the camera, but we have Greg here. Take a seat. Sorry, this is our setup. So I think they're controlling the stream inside, but hopefully they see your face.
Cool.
But I have Greg with me here. Congrats on your second round win.
Thank you, Viridian.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Yes, anything you'd like.
That was a very cool deck. We haven't seen Scions. I don't think I've personally seen Scions in like any of the events. The set. Oh, why did you bring Scions?
I brought Scions because I tested all my favorite decks and they just weren't working out. So I wanted to see if maybe an old flame would be able to rise up against for the occasion, and turns out it's not a bad choice.
Yeah, and you got a lot of fans in the in the chat.
Hi guys, I love you. Hi.
You were really putting me to the test. I was like, I don't actually remember what card that is. I can't tell if that's Alphanut or Alisei. I remember losing to this card back in the day.
Yeah.
I was like trying to look up stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, very well played. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say? I'm trying to think of some more questions. This is my first time.
Oh, no, dude. No, Viridian, you're a pro, man. Viridian was the commentator at Haunted Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're pro, man.
That was a well-run tournament, too.
That was a marathon, dude, and you did it for 2 days. Yeah, you and John Schreiner. What's up, Schreiber? What's up, detective? Yeah, so, no, hi, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and thanks to Tabletop or Tabletop Tavern over here in San Diego for hosting. Shout out to Square and Viridian over here for running the stream, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks for having me. Yeah.
Oh, I thought of a question.
Yes, sure.
So how did you practice for this event? A lot of people, maybe it's their first event,
Yeah.
they don't really know what they're going into. How do you prep for an event?
Okay, so it's very easy, right? We all have access to FF decks. we all see like how amazing like Viridian's deck. What was it? Was the Pennsylvania event that you won?
Yeah, I won the Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we see like all the amazing decks that are out there. And you know, you just have to say, well, everybody's gonna play these decks because they're on FF decks and they're gonna test them out and they're gonna be like, oh, like this is what's winning, this is tier one, this is beating everybody. So if my deck choice doesn't have a shot against any of those, I probably should not bring it unless I'm just coming to have fun, which is fine.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah. And I went in with the idea that if I lose today, it's completely fine. I'm just there to have fun. And if I win, then that's great too. Otherwise, we're just here to hang out with our friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for anyone trying to, qualify for Worlds next year, this is a good practice, for the fun times next year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
Hey, anytime, Viridian. Have a good one, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of other games going on. We still have 10 minutes left. I can tell you that Irving lost the second round. I might have a co-commentator from this round onwards. I will scope out the tables and be back for you guys in a bit. So some news, Rachel, my local from Seattle, is currently 2-0. Manuel from Arizona, like Fab Gamer now, 2-0. Who else? That's all I got right now.
That's all you get. Well, the muscle is O2 beers drinking, so that's a plus. We'll be now on commentary with you.
Yeah. I don't know if we're actually doing I know we have a lunch break scheduled at 2 o'clock. There's 3 minutes left in this round. I'm unsure if we're gonna do one more
There's a few
round.
games still going on, so it's gonna be close to whether see if we do the next round, and then we go to the 2 lunch, or if they're gonna cut it after this and we'll do a lunch break.
Oh, Joe said 0-2 beers.
Well, I mean, everybody enjoys a good drinking time, right? So we'll see from there. Right. Foray. It seems to be actually the highlight of everybody. I think it's the easiest one to go to at this point.
Yeah.
If you haven't played in a while, it's probably what you get back into, right? So it's what you play to at least start out. It'll get you back in the game fast.
It's good because it's cheap too, because most of the cards are commons and rares.
Right.
Some H.
Then you can kind of adjust it how you want to. It's just a bunch of EX bursts and this warrior character.
Yep.
Is there anything that's different from it? What's the legends in that deck itself? Axstar?
Axstar.
Which now you can get the Shantoto and the special
The anniversary.
Yeah, so the whole deck has become super cheap. So I didn't see what the top deck. What was Greg Cole and Daniel playing at the point?
Chris Daniels was playing a Fire Magisa deck.
Okay.
And Greg was playing Scions. We saw an Amber. So I don't know what that was for, to be honest.
So
it could be backup line ramp. I don't know.
Scions plus this War A package?
Maybe.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was super, super cool. It was something very different that we've never seen before.
Yeah, because usually you want that whole backup lineup to be Scions, so that way you get the most of the effects. But if you're using it just for color fixing, then maybe going tricolor Scions. I didn't see his deck list, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
But that would be a smooth transition.
And value is value, right? You're drawing 2, and you love drawing 2.
Drawing 2 and burning for 9K for the backup. How could that ever go wrong, right?
Yep. I personally would have played Ice Earth with X-Step in it, but I don't see any Ice Earth gamers here.
Ice Earth Lightning, but Earth Lightning loses to win.
Yep.
So it's like a chess match, right? You gotta have to figure out what you want to play against all the other decks, and you gotta figure out what the local scene plus what everybody's bringing in, right?
Right.
So you're gonna bring in Earth Lightning, which was we've seen a ton lately in the past couple times.
Right.
You have to be very wary. Is there going to be a high amount of people playing Win?
Yeah, it's not very good versus Soray or Win.
Correct.
I kind of expected a lot of Soray, so I wouldn't have brought Earth Lightning. I would have brought Ice Earth because it just you play Arcanist, you name 4, they can't do anything.
Right, they just can't attack. They just sit there and don't play the game. Other than that, I've seen a mixture of a lot of different decks. I came in. I just wanted to play a starter deck. I didn't really care.
So what deck were you on, Irving?
I was actually on captains. So for me, the starter deck, I looked at it, and the biggest thing I saw was Glauca. Glauca is an insane card, and if there is another lightning or fire captain that can assist him,
Can you tell us the text of Blanca?
So
Both the chat and me,
yeah,
because I don't know.
So Glauca's a 3-cost 7K that says on break, so it's for 2 captains with different names. And then he also has a dull effect that says break him, dull 2 of your opponent's floor. So he's netting you 2 cards, whether you break him yourself or your opponent break him. So they have to do a removal effect that doesn't break him in order for you not to net value. To me, the biggest part, you can actually run. So the captain's deck that I was running is actually pretty decent. It's nothing crazy, but if you run 2 Ranjit, 3 Glaucas, and 3 Ravis, and you get a lot of effects that like you can burn for 3 Ravis or for the Ranjit, and then play the Ravis before.
Right.
And then burn for 10K, which is a fun time. Like I said, it's nothing crazy, nothing good. The traps of the deck of the starter deck, to me, were the Arden. Arden actually served a purpose.
Hey,
Like you,
fire CP or lightning CP.
well, that's it. But I mean, if you think about it, you can get the same thing from what was the 5-drop? 5 lightning.
Algor Emperor.
Yeah, you can get the same effect from him, which he actually comes in and does something. And at least you'll be able to break or burn something.
Looks like Mr. Cool just walked by, gave me a thumbs up, so I assume he won round 2 as well.
I mean, he is the coolest of the cool, right?
True, he's
Coming in here, he's taking over America.
I'm gonna put him in his place, you know.
You know, the British are coming. The British are coming. I would get on my high horse and go with Paul Revere, but he's taking over with no problem.
Yeah.
I think he's on wind, if I'm right.
I think so.
So he, you know, I saw them testing, and they were very high on wind and playing wind. Alex, you're on wind, right? Yeah, and you know, they were able to kill a bunch of stuff. If they're playing against War Ray or anything else, they actually have a high advantage.
Looks like things are wrapping up, so we'll be on break for a little bit. See you soon, maybe? Or there could be a lunch break.
Could be a lunch break, could
Point
be another
flip.
round. We are going in at 1:40, and it's really dependent on when they want to take the lunch break.
We'll let you
I
know
would
in like
be
5
very,
minutes.
like, I would actually hate to see that. Like see round 2.
I want a lunch break. No, I want to play one more round, at least.
I would at least like to see a 3rd round and then a lunch break. So that way, you know, you feel good about like going into round.
All right. See you guys in a bit.